What I'm doing here, you can't really see them, but you'll see them on your show. I have two pictures, one where the smoke is more like an outline, and then one where it's more billowy, but it's pretty close. Actually,
but the billowy, like a cumulus cloud.
Actually, do you want to step over here and look at it? I'll move the cameras. Yeah. Now keep going back and forth from here. Here's the one where it looks more like the building. See how that
A lot
goes?
of smoke, yeah.
A lot of smoke, but it's shaped like a building. And then here, it's more, you know.
It's already down. It's just
Out
a smoke
window
low.
of Four Eyes office, seconds after first tower collapse.
Oh,
And
so
this one is seconds after second tower collapse. Oh, so that's a different building. But look at that, how it's.
a lot of smoke.
But here's the part.
Wait, I get the
Watch.
camera going.
It's going.
It is.
Oh, you want it going on you.
No,
But here's
as long as you're
the
talking.
part. Look at this. You know what that is?
The tower, the antenna.
So how can the antenna be standing and then all this collapse and standard control demolition? That would be the first to go down by the time it collapsed onto here.
Well, in order, in other words,
Here, you use the mouse to explain what you want.
if that's the tip, that means that the tower is probably down to about here at this point, and this part is,
You mean the tip just stays free? It just stays there?
well, as it collapses, the tower stays up, yeah.
But what about all of this? Isn't that collapsing? Where's all the smoke coming from?
Well, this is the second tower, so there's already smoke on the first tower.
No, but this is shaped just like the building.
This smoke here, this line.
All that smoke seems around that tower.
No, I would say that if you have this much going on, then it's still connected to whatever it is that supports it. You know, there's still some structure here that isn't down yet.
That's many, many floors. You're talking about 30
well,
floors.
the tower itself is about this long.
It's not a tower, that's the antenna.
All right, the antenna, the antenna is about this. They call them towers too.
Oh, they do, okay.
But this is about this long, right? The antenna? Or even longer, maybe this long.
Oh, you know what? Now I'm not getting the mic here for the stream. Here. Keep talking and I'll...
But either way, we're not talking about defying gravity. You know, it's in a position that's coming down.
Oh, just a second. Let's switch
But
this.
the shape of the clouds is a big part of it. I definitely see those clouds as the kinds of clouds you would expect. They sort of confirm the idea of an explosion. They're the clouds of explosions.
Point again with your mouse.
The
Where it's attached to as an engineer.
Although we can't even be sure that's it, but it certainly looks like it.
It looks like an antenna.
Yeah, it looks like the tip of the antenna.
And then, as an engineer, where would it be attached? Wouldn't it be attached to the top
We
floor?
don't know the scale, how long it is. The antenna was like free up in the air until about here.
Oh, you think that the antenna is that big?
Yeah.
That tall?
I don't know. I mean, the scale is...
Well, we should be able to
If we
find
had
out.
a picture with the same bridge and the same size, and then we could see what the antenna looks like from this distance.
Well, there must be some record of how big that antenna was,
Yeah.
right? So once we find the big antenna, then we can...
But the collapse itself, that's the problem, old buddy, is that you can't quite make peace with that collapse being accomplished by Controlled Demolition Incorporated.
No, I can't.
The French from 1981 on a French TV channel are running my 1981 interview where they came here from Paris to interview me in 81. It's about 8 minutes long. And also, in 1982, cable TV was very much in the news, and they did 2 retrospectives on the wackiness of cable TV and how nuts most of the people were who produced public access shows. Basically saying they had no talent.
Right.
If you know Channel 9, Richard Day used to be on Channel 9.
Yeah?
He did one of the shows, and he doesn't exactly use these words, but what he says is, the people on cable TV have absolutely no talent and are no good whatsoever. But let's interview Lee George, okay?
Aha! Ah.
So he's now put that back up. I think you can get it from YouTube as well. I'm part of it. And I'm proud to tell you that of the 8 to 10 shows that are reviewed on every one of them, I am the only one who's still active. Got 48 million links on Yahoo. The others have gone by the wayside or into a worse place called purgatory.
Right, purgatory. That sounds pretty bad.
Okay, so I'm going to sign off, but I just wanted to let you know, Paula, that as soon as Ivanka Trump, calls me and gives me her boyfriends, I'll be sending them to you.
Okay, thanks a lot, George.
Okay, Paula.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So we can carry on. Joe, we'll go back to you. What do you think of that?
I was amazed at how brief he was, but it was interesting information.
Well, he was actually pretty courageous because he's looking for money for his film. What he wants to do is take all his old public access shows and put a plot in them. And I think it would make a great feature film. But when you're looking for backers, he's concerned that some of them might be uncomfortable about 9/11 truth. And I think you can understand that, right, Joe? I mean, even in the 9/11 truth movement, there's passionate disagreements. So we were talking about controlled demolition. You want to go back to that?
Yeah, we had a passionate disagreement, you and I.
Right.
You don't like the idea that controlled demolition plus explosives explain the way the towers came down. And I believe that engineering is up to the task of using explosives and cutting charges to have accomplished exactly the way the two big towers came down, and later in the day, Building 7.
Of independent commission of the likes of, let's see, we've got William Pepper, we've got Ed Asner, Ralph Schoenman, Thomas Gumbleton, Mike Rebell.
She's actually my co-author in my second book.
Actually, no. You know who's more radical?
Laurie Van Auken,
Okay.
Lincoln Chaffee. I mean, these are all the people who are going to be on the commission.
Okay. Is there a certain website I can go to get more information?
Yeah, I can give you this petition if you like. Check it out.
Pleased with what we got yesterday. My father's trying to call in, but he can't get the Skype to unmute. So I'll just have to wait on that. You know how those little technical things go. He's going to help me with something I want to do, which is Punishment Never Works. I want to do a seminar, Punishment Never Works, where we have the warden at San Quentin prison
I think we should
and
stay
the
with
nun from Dead Man
William
Walking.
Rodriguez comes and make some footage. How many tape?
Joe Friendly came over the next day, and he was talking about the events at St. Mark's Church with the janitor who was purported to have been at the World Trade Center, the last man to get out alive. Would you be nice and no outbursts?
What should I do? Yes, fall asleep. Actually, I fall asleep anyway if I listen to someone. The old rule: I can't listen to someone in a room. Fall asleep, especially if I didn't sleep.
Yeah. Okay. And so Joe was discussing that here in the Gramercy Park Electronic Salon.
Yes, electronic salon. That's good. That's a good term. Yeah.
And then
he came by and saw me.
Yeah, and then but what
He looked at those cameras and they were both not working. So
Well,
It'll be boring. He tells the fucking story for the 15th times. There will be no.
what do you want to
activism.
do, Ryan? I'm going to stay for a while, but I have an appointment later on.
You can film some B-roll, man. I want to watch the Oscars, and I don't know where.
Well, he was starting to. Oh, you want to watch the Oscars? Well, should we leave and try to find somebody with cable?
Shit, I never missed them. Maybe one time in 20 years.
You know, Harold Chandler might be open. Want to go to Harold's?
I don't know him.
Could ask. Can always ask. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
It's a little floppy here. I expected more people. So it means it's generally not really
so not.
Should we leave? Or you want to stay?
I thought we waited till William Rodriguez comes.
Want to stay?
Well, I mean, it's up to you.
Well, we're waiting until Rodriguez comes.
Well, if he wants to,
Yeah, all right, we'll wait for a while.
I'm going to make a phone call about the Emmys or the Oscars.
Well, maybe some friends. I mean,
Program today. You don't watch cable. I mean, you don't have cable, but John Kowalski was the guest on my program. You know, 10:30, 11:30, and he was going through all this stuff about the streaming and what's involved, and Red Fox and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, really? So
It was funny in a way because he was trying to explain it, but then he got back to where you don't have to know. You just. But anyway, it was very complicated. And other things came up in that vein about the complexity of.
slow down, Harold. So you're saying you have a new interview with John Kowalski?
No, it was an old one. It was one I'd done before.
Oh, I don't remember him talking about Red 5.
Yeah, he was talking about it when he did a program. It was about a month ago, 3 weeks ago or something, and he talked about the...
Oh, I have to look at that. You must have done about 3 with him now, right?
I'm not even sure. I think I've done 3, yeah.
3.
I think so, over the longer haul, yeah.
Okay, so I want to tell everybody out there in Streamland, be sure to go to youtube.com/Harold Channer and search in John Kowalski, Kowalski. Did I spell that right?
yes, come on, guys. This is fucking Scientology, yes.
What's that?
It doesn't matter.
Have you seen this one yet? You've seen Zeitgeist, I'm sure, right?
Yeah, I'm bored.
Not a limited hangout.
Somehow, so you show Zeitgeist to us?
Well, I just...
How often did you watch Zeitgeist?
Hey! They're going to show it until...
I find it.
Until the man shows up.
Yeah, Kowalski
Kowalski.
sausage, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, well, I was sort of a vegetarian for 25 years, so I wouldn't know Kowalski sausage.
25 years, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know that. You had been there that long.
But anyway, he's such a genius, and thanks to John, we've got this stream going, and I realized when I was doing an interview with Alan, this lady who does a lot of events at the UN, she was highly interested when she found out, and I realized it's such an incredible tool. I just wish I could beef up the viewership on the stream, but you know, Rome isn't built in a day.
And the mashup remix. The remix one? I promoted this event today. Latino Jesus versus UFO Jesus. That's Rodriguez. In brackets, Jews did 9/11 remix. We put all the xenophobia people. It's so fun. There's so many weirdos around. Like some Jew haters hate also movement people.
The Zionism, the anti-Semitism.
Right.
Two totally different.
How bizarre is that?
You can't say Jew hate, you have to say Zionism.
Yeah, I call them the xenophobics. So there's some people for sure that they think that the no planets are Jews.
What we were discussing, though, was what was happening at St. Mark's, and Nico Haupt and I had left earlier with Ryan to see the Oscars over at your place.
Yeah, right. And we watched them and everything, and Nico hung in to the end almost. No, he said that the year before, they always go longer than they think it's going to and everything. But it was good to see Nico and his friend is working with him and everything.
Well, it was really nice of you because he said it would have broken a 20-year perfect, record for him always seeing the Oscars.
See, the thing is, it could be a plane or it could be no plane. But you know what?
Come on,
who cares? Because we want to know who's operating the plane or who faked the video. You know who did it?
Yeah.
Whoever controls the media. You're saying whoever controls the media
90%
created
of
the
all
fake
photographer
plane.
and videographer says didn't see any plane, don't want to talk, or they have to media first.
Now the point is, who controls the media? Who controls the media?
Yeah, I know.
Points back to the same people.
Yeah, he's into watching it. That's it. It's good that he is because the movies are a very important part of the media mix of everything and everything. But and I usually watch it, but I was watching it also, kind of, but yeah, so it goes. Then I had another event yesterday. I taped a couple programs, and we've been in touch with Eugenia.
Oh yeah, talk
she
about.
sent me all kinds of stuff. She's wonderful.
Yeah, talk about Eugenia.
Well, Eugenia, we're going to do a program next Thursday with. We set that up, so that's good at MNN. And then she has a longtime personal friend, another, as she puts it, with great emphasis, real gentleman, who is a man named. Give me a second; it'll come to me. It'll come to me in a second. But he was a long-term friend of Eugenia and Sydney, and his name is Peter Stanford. That's what it is, and he was the president of the South Sea Street Seaport Museum. Has a great interest in maritime things. I put him in touch with Reed Stowe, gave him the link to Reed Stowe's thing and everything.
Oh, great. He's the biggest. Oh, good. Yeah.
I don't think anybody could have predicted that they would try to use an airplane as a missile, a hijacked airplane as a missile.
Nobody in our government, at least, and I don't think the prior government could envision flying airplanes into buildings.
No specific threat involving really domestic operation or involving what happened on this program, the city's airliners.
There were no warning signs that I'm aware of.
USA Today reports that in the 2 years before the attacks on September the 11th, NORAD conducted exercises using hijacked airliners as weapons. And one target was the World Trade Center.
In confidential documents from the Philippines obtained by CNN, the plan was clear. He will board.
Had a great talk with him. He's a real gentleman, as they say, and he's going to come with her on the program when we tape it.
Oh, that's nice. Is her voice getting better?
next Thursday. So I'm looking forward to that. She sent me a copy of the tape, the one that you had when he was on Jake Trove's program.
Oh, wow.
And so we're going to do it. And she sent me a lot of material, and she's just wonderful. She really is, and very thoughtful, very follow-up, and everything. She sent me some stuff earlier, and it had been sent to 30th Street rather than 36th, but we finally ran it down at the post office and got more material about Sidney Dean, and because he really was a great guy.
Do you know if she speaks...
That's going on.
Do you know if she speaks Greek?
I didn't know if she did. It won't help me, but she's Greek. It seems everybody in my life is Greek anymore.
Any American commercial aircraft control its cockpit and dive it at the CIA headquarters. Other buildings targeted the Pentagon and the World Trade Center.
Security and counterterrorism was blinking red, in the words of George Tenet, that the warnings of an imminent attack were so severe that something dramatic should have been done. It was unparalleled. Instead, our president went on a month-long vacation.
The head of Pakistani intelligence of the ISI, Mahmoud Ahmed, requested Omar Sheikh to wire $100,000 to Mohammed Atta, who was the lead hijacker.
The hijacker Mohammed Atta received wire transfers via Pakistan. The man sending the money to Atta is believed to be Ahmed Umar Saeed Sheikh. Omar Sheikh admitted he was supported by the Pakistan government's intelligence service, the ISI.
What to say is that I'm trying to do with my editing the kind of work that is both useful, a la George Stoney, to the Manhattan local audience, but at the same time is useful to a world audience.
Yeah.
And I think when the Telecommunications Act of 1996 restricted a lot of the, I mean, I know the guy said he'd eat his hat. It was supposed to be more beneficial to the people, But it seems as though when they said this isn't broadcast and they changed laws from what, 1934?
Yeah, it had been originally 434.
Well, I think it's affecting the entire world.
Yes, it is.
You know?
Although we are told that 4 or 5 of the alleged hijackers were on each of the flights. If so, their names should have been on the flight manifest. But the flight manifests that have been released contain neither the names of the alleged hijackers nor any Arab names whatsoever.
We know that the men who are supposedly the hijackers had their house.
So what I'd like to do is do the kind of show as long as I possibly can with the stream, thanks to the genius of John accessing this Red 5, which is open source, because I remember John had said these are the saviors of the world, that they wanted to make available to you know, little people like us the tools that really only big corporations were able to afford, so that we can connect with people in all parts of the world and they can see what is New York really thinking.
Cars, credit cards paid for by the U.S. government. They were in truth agents.
Evidence was also apparently planted. The passport of one of the hijackers on Flight 11 was allegedly found in the rubble.
Goes through the fireball, through the side of the plane, and comes down the ground unscathed. But something happened. For 6 months they reported they had this passport. Boy, we got it, we got screwed. And then the guy stood up and was alive.
Several.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know,
that's one of the things that it's called democracy, where the technology is making it possible for things that one could only have dreamed about if one believes in democracy, or people having input and two-way and all that sort of thing.
These 19 men are still alive.
So, throughout the ages, democracy was not always considered the most ideal form of government, because the masses were easily incited to act on their passions.
What? They're for Hillary too. Oh, good.
No, be the real
Hillary's a loser.
Did you know that? They've got the Hillary.
I'm not going to argue with this ignorant.
What's that?
At ground zero, there's people that's argued with ignorant chump rhetoric attacks me, so I'm not going to argue back with ignorant chump rhetoric attacks on Hillary. And
Right. We pro Hillary.
if you want to have a decent, intelligent discussion, I will discuss it, but I'm not going to do it in a
So what do you want to do then here?
having people scream and yelling at me.
What are you doing here?
As opposed to more thoughtfully. Do you have any comment vis-a-vis the Ugly George interview I did with where he highlighted Obama's sexual and drug taking even up until recently on the internet, whereas the mainstream media, the newspapers and the regular channels, Fox News, CNN, both on the left and the right, aren't talking about that? Do you think, because I know, you know, you're a gentleman, and this has been pointed out on my YouTube comments, you know, do you think that that appeals to the baser tastes of a democracy?
This is 9/11. Willie Rodriguez is here today.
He's not here yet.
You really Rodriguez supporter?
What?
You Rodriguez supporter?
I don't know much about Willie Rodriguez. I guess so. He says he is a witness that 9/11 had bombs going off in the basements, and I have films of bombs going off in the basements.
You haven't looked at the directed energy weapon sites?
What?
The vectors, probably the Deutsche Bank probably had the heavy machinery. You know,
I don't know
been
anything about
50
heavy
years
machinery,
ago.
but I know
Did
from
you
my
know that the
14
US
years
did
ago.
test 2 days ago?
So you're
last
interrupting me when I'm talking.
If people...
Well, I don't know. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen the thing you did with George, everything like that, but just generally.
It was yesterday. You didn't see it yesterday?
I didn't. I wasn't able to. It's been, you don't know how busy it's been here at the level. We've been in court and all that kind of stuff, so I haven't been
I might replay it. You know why? Because YouTube would not post it. It's been pending since February 20th. So I'm kind of keeping that up.
I'm not going to have this ignorant interrupting me, stopping when I'm talking. I went through this for an hour the other day. It's just ridiculous. If you want to have an intelligent discussion where we discuss
Just
things,
save the
fine.
tape, because I'm not interested in bombs.
You know, I could probably recompress it and change the titles and things. But it seems as though the Obama sexual allegation makes red flags come up, perhaps.
Well, that's the kind of thing. Remember, we impeached a president over a thing like that. Or did all but impeach the president, and that changed the political dynamic with Clinton and his cigar or something. And at that level, people, and there seems to be, apparently, from my talks with people in Europe, people are much more tuned into that kind of titillation or the sexual thing in America than they are in other parts of the world, perhaps. But I don't know how to deal with. I don't know anything about it. I mean, I don't know anything.
Well, I
about
mean,
what George is talking about.
I mean,
but maybe.
In this case, Harold, you can just have the guy take a lie detector test or go through the courts or whatever the deal is for, what do they call it, libel or slander. But in the case of YouTube, you don't know who's taking these sites down and who isn't, and who's making the decisions and why they're making the decisions.
Yeah, and then there's the question, again, back again to thinking at a policy level.
Right.
In terms of something so...
When did he get sick? Last week? I think it was like 3 weeks. Yeah, I know.
So important as, for a company as big as Google and that, and any big organization has to have all kinds of... It's important that the policy levels, that when you said something about the no plane people have their things taken down.
Well,
what is the rationale by which they think something should be taken down? Even Sidney Dean, when he was just setting that pattern, he said, you have to be sure you're not dealing with things that are illegal or lotteries or all other kinds of things that would be restricting. Other than that, then everything is open and it can be put out. And you'd want to have things open. And democracy can be a messy thing because you're dealing with all kinds of prejudices and lack of understanding and seeing things in terms that probably aren't that important in the terms. I don't know how to deal with that. Like with Google, by what policies do they take something down? What are the policy assumptions?
If you have an urgent message, then that means that by taking something down for 2 weeks, you can have that viralism screeching to a halt. So for them, even though they put it back up again, they could do a lot of damage to a message by having that power.
Ivanka Trump has called me, and she said she's getting tired of some of her boyfriends. And I said, yes, Ivanka. And she said, can I give them to Paula Gloria when I'm through with them?
You've got to be teasing me.
No, so Ivanka wants to pawn off some of her old, tired boyfriends that she's sick of because she wants new, fresh blood all the time on Paula Gloria. So be ready.
You have such a great sense of humor.
Well, Ivanka does too, okay?
Okay.
And so she said, if there's anybody who deserves my old boyfriends, it's Paula.
Aw. Does she watch my show?
Yes, okay?
Really?
So
that's
she
amazing.
wants to see these guys on your show soon, okay?
Why not? Why not? I'm always up for an adventure. I think that's hugely important, Harold, because I think ultimately the policies of Google and so on, you need to have capital ownership in what you're talking about.
Well, perhaps, I don't know.
You know?
Like
Otherwise, what?
Otherwise, you have to keep open too when you're talking about real big. But so I think it should be, maybe we should investigate the basic policy grounding statements of economics. And I brought that up with Francis Fox Piven. And it's good to get it out because
What did she say?
It's never been revisited since 1946.
What does she say?
Well, we didn't really get a chance to get into it and everything because we were talking about other things, because it gets into things like what is human nature. There are a lot of people say that human nature is of such a way that.
But see, but I want to go really deeply in this because I've watched so many of your interviews with so many different people, and it seems what really excited me and made me want to understand what was inspiring you was that you're taking a comprehensive approach about economic theory means that you didn't have to be concerned about human nature.
Well,
it was something that transcended human nature, or goes into something more profound than these base levels that take us to war and cause us to divide and so on.
Well, yeah, but but there will be different interpretations of what is human nature. I mean, you could say, for instance, if you were to say, and behind the binary thing is this idea of post-scarcity ontologic reality, which is assumed to be ipso facto absurd because human beings are insatiable. Insatiable. And we're not going to have a world of non-scarcity unless everybody's living in a Versailles palace with a swimming pool full of already cut and ready to go to market diamonds. Then maybe that will be a level at which we could achieve it. And because it's insatiable, it's absurd to think you can ever have a reality where there is sufficiency for all, or, transcending scarcity. And that's just assumed in our everyday organization of world society. It's assumed we have insatiable wants, so it's ipso facto to talk about anything that would transcend scarcity because you'll never be able to achieve that.
Well, then, what about...
And they say that's built into human nature and the biological process and the survival of the fittest and all of that kind of thing. So that's a question that begins to get at another level.
Now, with our last 2 minutes, the other side of human nature being greedy is human nature to be fearful. So if you're fearful, if you're fearful that
very accommodating and loving and all the other kinds of things that could be the opposite of that.
Yeah, but sometimes people are accommodating because they're kissing the ass of those who they're afraid is going to cut them off. Like you're saying, the established institutions.
That's virtually all the established institutions.
Right.
They got to get their grant to keep the research going
right.
and doing whatever and all of that. But the other side of it is also that if you've got a simple metaphor is if you're sitting at a table and you've got one sausage and you've got 25 people have to divide up.
Oh, this is...
is one thing. Then if you have 26 sausages and 26 people around the table, the context by which they would inter-accommodate with one another is different, if there is enough.
So what my excitement is that we as producers can help people keep the vision on the reality that scarcity has been transcended so that both the greed and the fear can kind of go by the wayside. And I want to really thank you, Harold, for hanging in there with me on this type of inquiry because it takes a while.